Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am out trying to feed my cows a hay bale, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a topic that has been coming up over and over on the campaign trail. And the reason for it is because as I have been out meeting people, going to events, listening to other candidates speak, listening to communities' issues, I have noticed over and over and over a reoccurring theme. Now you can see from the title of the video, guys, we're talking about Californians involved in Idaho politics. I have noticed greatly a huge, large percentage of the amount of people involved in politics, and we're talking people showing up to meetings with concerns, showing up to meetings trying to prevent policy, showing up trying to fight for Idaho, trying to keep Idaho free. A overwhelming vast majority of these people are from California, and you guys know where I stand on Californians coming to Idaho in mass. I've been more than clear on what I think of it, but my perspective of it has changed just a little bit. Now I hate to admit this to you guys, and I'm gonna admit it. I may have been a little wrong, because the more and more I am out and I'm talking to people and I am meeting people, the more I do it, the more I'm realizing that I'm coming to like some of these Californians, and it is because of the amount of fight in them, and you're talking to people and you realize, like, oh, okay, we've got the same concerns, we've got the same issues, right? We've got this, it's the same fight. Hey, where are you from? Which I ask everybody. Hey, where are you from? It's California, man, and it is hard to deny that there are Californians coming out swinging, leading up to this next election, May 17th, 2022, coming up, big time, man. The people of Idaho are rallied up. I can see it. There are a lot of people who are getting involved who haven't been involved. There are a lot of people who are waking up that are finally seeing it. Don't let that be an excuse for you to say, oh, it's taken care of, they're going to do it. Guys, I have made that. That has been my problem in politics. This has been my failure lack of being involved in politics, is I thought Idaho was safe. I thought Idaho was good. And so I just left it up to the people who seem to be, managing that. The watchdogs taking care of that. That is not the case. We have been losing ground in Idaho. Many people seem to think that, oh, Idaho is very conservative. It's extremely conservative. We're not as conservative as the reputation. In fact, I would say the reputation across the board is an outright lie. We were one of the first states to actually arrest people for going to church in Moscow, Idaho. They were arresting people for holding church, singing hymns out in public due to COVID mandates. Idaho's not free. We're still currently in a emergency order, state of emergency through our governor. Every 30 days, our governor puts us in a new one. Idaho's not free. We have a tyrant at the helm. We have across the board definition grade A tyrant who is the governor of our state, who is keeping us locked up in federal mandates, and he's keeping us in these emergency status because he's collecting Fed money. And we're going to talk about Fed money. We're going to talk about ARPA funds here in the future, because that's a huge one, and we're all too late on that, unfortunately. Our states, cities, counties, all of them, you guys have been sold out, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about that. But that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is about outsiders in Idaho politics. So for good or for bad, Idaho residents, you guys are not controlling policy and policymakers in Idaho. It is Californians coming in here and getting involved. And now I will continue to maintain that northern Idaho, and I've said this multiple times, northern Idaho conservative is totally different than the rest of the world conservative. People consider themselves conservatives, and then they come to North Idaho and they're not. You're not on the level of North Idaho conservatives, because we're talking living liberty versus, well, freedom's good. you know, in small dosages. That's not the mindset of traditional Idaho. And the reason, here's the problem with that, is people come here, they think they're conservative. All right, I'm conservative, you're conservative. Now I'm going to get into politics and I'm going to represent you. And part of this issue is people come from places that are not free. You have not been eating, sleeping, breathing liberty. You don't know what you don't know. You think you know freedom. You think you know what that is. But this is how we get watered down Second Amendment laws, right? For one, you have to have a permit to carry in your state. Well, a true conservative, a liberty-minded conservative would never back permits. I would never back permits, right? That is an infringement on your Second Amendment. I have the right to carry my gun any way I see fit, anywhere in the state, however I want. There's federal laws telling you can't go into the post office without your gun. Sure, some of that exists in the state, I guess. Do I agree with it? No. Do I abide by it? Probably shouldn't answer that. But the problem is this is how you get watered down laws. This is how you get watered down representation, because these are the people who will come here, run as a conservative, think they're truly conservative at heart, and they might be to an extent. But these are the people that you'll get to talk, you know, they'll be talked into thinking, well, nobody needs belt-fed weapons. Well, that's simply not true. As an American, we should have an equal opportunity to own all weapons that the government owns, just the same. And if that means belt-fed weapons, who are you to take a moral stand all of a sudden and say, well, we can infringe on the Second Amendment just a little bit? But the problem is, guys, this is what leads to high-capacity bans, high-capacity magazines. That's what leads to these bans, is people coming in, and then we trust them to represent us, and they're willing to negotiate with our rights. They're willing to negotiate with our liberties. There's zero negotiation when it comes to the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed. This is like the simplest one to remember. Everyone knows the Second Amendment. It's the easiest one. Shall not be infringed is pretty clear, and it's funny. I've actually heard a lawyer out of I think he was a prosecuting attorney. He was a lawyer out of Coeur d'Alene. One of Casey Whalen's videos on North Idaho Exposed was sitting talking to the guy, and he actually said all rights can be infringed on. That's the mindset you get of people who do not hold to liberty, who are watered down. Patriots, whatever you want to call them, conservatives. That I have learned since I've been out campaigning, guys, these words mean nothing. Conservative, patriot, that stuff means nothing anymore. Those aren't real words with set definitions anymore. Everyone continues to reinvent what that actually means. And the problem is, and I'm using the Second Amendment because it's just the greatest example to come up with, is you will be able to take a conservative and you will see that they can be convinced that, well, we should have some stipulations on gun ownership. Oh, we should have some stipulations on the right to keep and bear arms, you know, in some places. That is the problem that I see with outsiders coming into Idaho politics. That is the issue that you've seen in other states, right? So that's the playbook. So you have to watch for it in your state. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who are coming in here, and for the good of Idaho, they are absolutely fighting. And some of the people I continue to run into in every single one of these events are from Idaho, and they're great people, and they're throwing up the fight. What I'm not seeing is these diehard patriots. I'm not seeing it. You guys have all seen my video of downtown Coeur d'Alene, where thousands of patriots have brought their guns to come out and kick tyranny straight in the teeth. Where are those guys at? And we weren't fooled by it at that time. We didn't think for a second that we had a bunch of diehard patriots down here. Half those guys down there were down there with brand new guns that they probably never shoot, have never fired, clearly didn't know how to handle them. You got guys walking around flagging people left and right. You can tell there was a bunch of people who were down there just for the picture opportunity. That's fine. But where are all these patriots at? How come these these people running, these candidates running are out asking people for donations and money, and all the patriots are ducking and hiding. They're not going to spend a dime on your campaign to help push a solid candidate run for office to make a change. So I'm not seeing a lot of Idahoans showing up, and what this does is it opens up the door for outsiders to come in and think that they are going to represent you the best. And the fact of the matter is for me, while I appreciate somebody wanting to come here and fight, you don't know what you don't know. You're fighting for what you've lost. You're not fighting for what you know. You know, my family has always served this country, fought and served for this country. I'm not fighting for their legacy. I'm fighting for my kids' future, what I know. I'm in the moment fighting for what I know. A lot of these guys have lost their state. A lot of these women have lost their state. So they're coming here and they are putting up that fight. And Idahoans, I think, are dropping the ball, at least up here in North Idaho. I run into more Californians than I do people who are Idaho residents that have even been here for a long period of time. So for me, you guys cast your vote how you want. What I'm going to do is try to maintain that observation, what I'm seeing, and maintain that principle line. I'm not going to vote for anyone who has not even been in Idaho for a decade. If you haven't been in Idaho for at least a decade, if you live in North Idaho and you've never stuck a fishing line in Romano's, I'm not voting for you. You don't even know what you're fighting for, which means you're just a likely candidate to start dealing away what you don't even know. But those are the people we see compromise out of, and I'm not going to throw a vote to support them. So minimum for me, you better have been in Idaho for at least a decade. Full-time resident North Idaho for at least a decade if you think I will even kind of give you the nod or throw support behind you. Now, I will tell you guys, I have met people who have been elected into different positions who this doesn't apply to. They're not. They've only been here a couple years. And it scares me just a little bit, right? It makes me just a little nervous that, well, you've only been here a couple years and you want to get in and affect our policy and policy makers? Scares me. I think their heart is in the right spot. But for me, I'd like to see a little more commitment from them in this area before they get in and tell me that they're fighting for an Idaho that they don't even know yet.